CEJ Images offers monthly Healing Hands wellness courses offered via Zoom. And we also offer in-person exclusive wellness events that include the tools that you will use in real time to learn the techniques designed to heal the topic at hand. Check out our last Breast and Bellies event. This is what I want to know. I want to know what both of you, if I said, what do you know about the breast? General question. I don't care what your answer is. I just like to see how people see the breast. So you first, Raquel. If I said to you, what do you know about the breast? Tell me 3 things. Whatever comes to your mind, that's what you tell me. Okay.
They're life-giving.
Okay.
They have mammary glands.
Okay.
And they're productive.
Okie dokie. My dear Patra, 3 things.
I guess they're definitely an important part of the reproductive system.
Okay.
I should say life-giving.
Okay.
They give pleasure too.
Very good. Okay. Interesting. See, this is why I like to ask,
It's not
right?
my sphere.
Sometimes you gotta let your partner know, like, look,
This is
it's not just for that, okay?
that's exactly why I asked. All right, so I'm gonna ask the same question about bellies. When I say the word bellies, give me 3 things that you know about the belly.
I would say the belly is the genesis.
Okay.
I would say it is, well, this is kind of the same thing, but it's the core.
Okay.
It's the core for many things. It's the core for your immune system. It's the core for life-giving. And contained around the belly is your navel, which is a source of life.
Okay. I'm so stuck on fucking the word Genesis, and I'm like,
What? Right?
yeah, okay. That's
Oh,
giving me chills right now. The Genesis, that's about to stick in my, you're about to send my brain elsewhere. Okay. All right. Bellies for you, my dear.
Well, I guess this is where you absorb all of the nutrients that you need to live through gut health.
Okay.
It is life-giving for sure.
Okay.
And it oftentimes tells you that something is wrong. Like it's a source of
That is good.
information. Like, something's
That is
wrong.
good.
Your gut tells you. Not like an intuition. Gut tells you.
But exactly like intuition, brain, gut.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. So these words are awesome, and yeah, you all this is why I love these things, because y'all feed me. Holy shit. Wow. So thank you for that. So yeah, you guys are right about everything, and I will say this. We are, and the reason that I do this is for this reason. Everything that you all just said about the connection, or what the breasts and the bellies are for, exactly correct. We create life in the umbilicus, right? We nourish it on the outside with the breasts, which is why they're on the outside, right? One is inside, one is outside. It is a system. One feeds the other directly and without doubt. It is just the way the system works.
Are connected.
Absolutely.
When you breastfeed,
exactly, you lose the belly.
feel the
That is,
contraction.
come on now, that's correct.
you feel it like
Correct.
going down.
It is that same exact system.
And just like your gut is your second brain,
That is correct.
just like your gut's your second brain, when a baby receives the milk from the mother, the initial milk has brain development tied to it.
That is correct.
They call the
That is
older
correct.
stuff.
That's correct because, and we'll go through that, I guess, now. Yeah, that direct connection, which is why we have to breastfeed. We have to feed the system. That stimulates the system of the water. If the water is not flowing, we're not breathing. And I don't think people get that. Oxygen does not flow in the body just by itself. It's carried in the water that is carried through the blood. The blood is 85% water. That is where we breathe. We don't breathe through the blood. We breathe through our water. So the stimulation of the lymph vessels of the breast activate the body through the umbilicus in the belly button. Not to mention the umbilicus, you said it, was like the starburst on the inside, but it's also the protection and the connection for all of the organs, which means there is no difference between a gut problem and a reproductive problem. It is the same track, same avenue, it is the same space. All of the organs are in the gut for a reason. They share the same feeder filter tract, yeah?
Right.
So absolutely what we eat have a direct effect on what happens like in the ovaries and in the uterus. And if we are eating things that are molecularly too large, it is going to swell the vessels of all of the organs, which will what? Make you bleed heavier or make you not bleed. But what it does is it takes out that it reminds us of that connection. Yet these two places that y'all just talked about, literally life, like our life. If we create in the belly and then nourish through the breast, then why are we ever concerned about any part of the body or the systematic workings of the body? These two spaces that y'all literally multiple times said were life-giving are the two most common surgeries that women have in this country right now. You're either cutting into or cutting off your life source, and then you're going in and you're removing parts of the other life source, and then we want to know why we're dying. And we want to know why we feel like shit all the time. You can't take a one systemic unit that has a head on it. There is no function in the body without the head, and the head feeds directly into the breast and clavicle space, which is what we're going to go over. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a dot connector. Okay.
Very good. I love dot connectors. Dot connectors are my favorite people. You're welcome.
And so what you're saying begs the question, what happens to these life-giving places that are a part of this one system when there is miscarriage or abortion?
Ooh, that's a deep, wow, okay.
I think that's two sides.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
What?
It's two
Say
sides
it.
because miscarriage is natural. That happens on its own, whereas an abortion, it's medical intervention.
But yes,
most times.
but not where I was thinking too. So this is why that's a humongous and very important question you just asked. We have to remember where our emotions and trauma are held. In that same lymph water that feeds the body through the breasts, right? And again, feed then down the middle, and we'll go over that whole track, down the middle to the belly button. So we have to remember what makes water heavy in the body is if it stops flowing. Grief, heavy emotions that are very low vibrational, almost act like toxic food. And the molecules are too big to get through the lymph water. So you have stagnation along that system of the lymph water, right? Which if we are feeding life, you are taking away that life's ability because the frequency in the water is vibrating too low. So when we talk about vibrating higher, that's a literal interpretation of life. The electrical current in our water has to be flowing high or fast enough to stimulate the water flow to carry the oxygen, right? Or the cells don't communicate. The biggest waterways in the body that feed the body come from the breast and the belly. And those are the two places that we are letting them hatch it through. And over the years, most trauma that we see as adults, in terms of symptoms in the body, the trauma was 30, 40 years ago.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's probably a sidetrack, but what happens after someone gets their gallbladder removed?
Oh, we're gonna go over removal of organs.
Shit. That's like the dumpster, right?
Yeah.
So.
So.
What happens after they?
No, I want you. That's an excellent question, and for the people in the back, I want you to answer your own question. Because you can, but to you it sounds like maybe that's not the answer. No, it's exactly the answer.
It's just
what?
It just goes everywhere?
It's
like a portal flying through the air.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
going everywhere.
Answer the $100 million you just answered. You cannot take a system that was created in its exact way to behave and function that exact way. You have to have an expectation that you are going to break that system down by removing parts of it.
It's like a car. Like, since people can relate to that, right? Like, you can't take the engine out of a car and expect it to still drive.
Right.
You can't take the gas tank out and expect it to still
alternator.
The alternator, the timing belt. I mean,
Correct.
spark plug, like simple little parts. You can't
Correct.
remove
An entire system.
a little part.
And any part missing,
It's not going to work.
malfunctions the system.
And after a surgery like that, how many times do you go follow up with the doctor? Maybe a year, maybe. The whole post-surgical trauma of scar tissue doesn't even start till sometimes year 3, 4, or 5. And then it just builds, but the damage has already been done because the backup is already backed up over and over and over and over and over again. Depleting your functionality in your water, right, over years. But that's what they call aging. You know, aging isn't a thing, right? We don't age. Our cells in the body turn over every day to every 90 days. So the cells are never older than 3 months old. But when we see lines and wrinkles and discoloration, that is stagnant lymph water where the minerals are coming out as acne, eczema, psoriasis. It's an indicator that the water's not moving fast enough to filter itself. And one of the biggest filters is the breast. The breasts are one of the biggest feeders and filters, just like the belly. Just like the belly. People don't know that if your breasts are heavy, there are lymph nodes underneath the breasts that are what? Oh, here we about to get into it now. The lymph filters, and nobody, listen, are y'all listening to this part? Remember what I said to you earlier. The lungs are 90% water, which means they're 10% paper mache tissue, but the functionality is water. If you lift your breast, directly under that lymph space under the breast are what? Your lungs. But they're water, right? If you stick a bra on top of our breathing space, which is the water, all day long, and then particularly you add some metal on top of it, you are killing your body's ability to function. And then you're blocking the water that's supposed to be flowing.
So
yeah?
the brown's like,
Exactly. And then you have what? A big belly. Because if the body can't breathe through flowing water, those vessels swell. And what do we call that? Weight or swelling or whatever. Or double chins, right? Lines in the neck. It's all the same problem. It's all water. The body is 80 to 85% water. I just told you, lungs aren't even a thing. They're mostly water and a little bit of tissue. Super, super, super thin in terms of tissue. So who knows the difference between a lymph node and a lymph vessel?
No.
I don't.
Ah, very good. And I would have been surprised if you did.
I know the terms.
I know there is
But
a
I have-
difference. I just don't know what the difference
Got
is.
it. I love that. See, that's why I ask questions. Okay, so there is a huge difference between the two. When we talk about a lymph system, right? People are like, yeah, it's a lymph system. But I don't think we differentiate in our head what that actually means. If you ask me, it is a system of perfection. Like perfection. The water is automated, and all it has to take to flow is vibration, oxygen, and minerals. Like literally, that's it. That's why people they can be fruitarians and all other kinds they can eat, once a week, because our body functions in water, even in the way we eat. Saliva has to break down food into molecules that fit in our water, right?
Right.
Yes.
So is this the reason why during COVID, with so many people in the hospital when they put them on respirators?
Hello, come on, Doc.
Stopped.
Come on, Doc.
So many people died because their lung capacity could not function.
Hello.
They were put on their backs, and then they were artificially
Y'all hear that?
to breathe.
Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? In a system that required flowing water. But if their water wasn't flowing fast enough to filter the COVID in the first place, you can't give them more water from a ventilator and expect them to fucking live. That is what happened. Because we breathe through our water, right? And a major filtration of breathing, particularly for the breast, is exhaling. So combining those two with wearing a mask over your filter and then breathing in your same shit.
Right. The mask is like a death sentence.
It is a
I
death.
feel like I'm gonna just choke.
It is a death sentence. We have to breathe in the nose and out to exhale the filter. Remember, the filtration of our body is also water. So we can pee it out. It comes out in feces. It comes out in blood. It comes out in ejaculation. It's all liquid, right?
Another topic. So it's probably not meant for camera, but so in female ejaculation,
Yes, ma'am.
is that what that is? Is that water?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So what they call,
So
the squirt.
Stimulate that water.
Yeah. Yes.
That's lymph water.
And that it is also another reasoning that you can connect to the prostate. Most men who have what they call high PSA, they're not ejaculating enough. Either they're not having sex or they're not masturbating enough, which causes a backup in the toxicity. It's like women who don't want to bleed. Why in the shit don't you want to? That is a way your body is cleaning out the reproductive organs.
It's a natural order of things.
That's correct. So like that, if you create a backup in that filtration system, you have fibroids, endometriosis, all of that. For a man who's not ejaculating regularly, high PSA.
I've experienced it where my water was backed up. I was on birth control in my early 20s. I did the depot, you don't get a cycle. It made me wacky, so I got off of it after about a year or two. And then when I went to tell the doctor I don't want to do depot anymore, they're like, "Oh, look, I have this little thing. You know how they do. Here you go. Try this one."
What did you do?
I took it. I was young and dumb, Like, oh yeah, sure, let me take this little ring and stick it in there and leave it in there.
Yep.
The ring.
Yep.
And since the depot made me not have a period, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I don't want to have my period. So the week that you're supposed to take the ring out, I left it in. What it did to my breast.
Say that again. Say that again.
My gosh.
What it did to having a ring in the belly did what?
My breast felt like I had, my breast hated my arms.
See?
My
Stagnation from bottom
my
up.
Shirt. My breast hated everything about anything. Like touching my breast
y'all
was
the connection. I'm gonna
worst
show it to you
ever. It was like if first of all, when you touch them, like if someone else was to touch them, it felt like implants. It was like they were so stiff and what's it called? Where it's like
Fibrous?
no, it was like
We're gonna talk about
what's
fibrocystic
the
breast
word?
too.
Okay.
You know when you have gas and it's just like it's just stiff.
Yeah.
It was just really hard.
It's
It
like
felt
swelling.
it's like swollen. It felt like implants.
Mhm.
But to me, my body, it felt like you're trying to kill me. It's like
Yep.
that hurts like hell. Like it was
Because
really,
the
really
sensation
painful.
comes inside out.
It was so painful.
100% of the time when people feel pain, it is a stagnation of water. When people feel the electric shock of nerve pain, it's because the water isn't flowing across the nerve. And like a phone, if it's stagnant, you're going to start misfiring, right? Same thing. Anytime. You cannot prove me different.
Now I know I was
Every
misleading
time,
the
it's
thing,
water.
but I'll never go on birth control again. Forget
See?
it. I don't.
See?
Want, I don't want any of them. I don't want
See?
any of them. None.
See?
None.
Because we and people amaze me when moms are like, well, what is my child supposed to do? Use a condom or be smart or prepared to have a child.
That's it.
What were we told that sex was for in the first place?
It's for reproduction.
Reproduction. Exactly.
But we like to have fun.
If you like to have fun, you better be responsible. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
Just like you drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly, fornicate responsibly.
All that.
Yeah, that's funny. But that's real though. But that's very, very real. So in you and I having a consultation, essentially, which is what we were doing in the beginning, her body, outside of the other little massage that we did on her, her face began to change as she started to understand. And that's the point of what I call the zombieism, right?
So when they say knowledge is power, it's not just you knowing and knowing what you do with it. It's like you know so your body processes everything.
These
different.
women
so this
are
thing is like
awesome.
freaking. Oh my gosh!
So no. Ooh, I just got chills. Holy shit, I'm glad I'm recording that. So, okay, no, we got to go there because what all of you are saying, you talk about God. Okay, all right. I'm having a brain moment right now because, I don't even know if I should say this. Wow, this might actually get me killed for real. Okay, so you just talked about Genesis and what we talked about in terms of life in Genesis. Stop. Okay, so what you just said about knowledge being power, we have to remember power is not just strength power, power like electricity power, right? Synapses, the electricity that we use to think and power the body. Those synapses don't fire if the brain isn't working or thinking or learning.
Right.
Knowledge. So when you say something like knowledge is power, not just strength,
Not just
meaning
act on
knowledge is our fucking plug.
Yes.
Knowledge is our
Yes.
plug. That turns on the body. If you're not using this, then there is no function down below. There can't be. You have to plug in. You got to plug in your body, right? The body does what the brain says. But if the brain isn't turned the fuck on, neither is the body.
So what if this is working, but it's disconnected?
Or it's misfiring.
Misfiring.
Because I
Misfiring.
really
Misformed.
did mean disconnected, like through trauma disconnected.
So,
Oh.
good question, but not disconnected. Stagnant.
Okay.
Stagnant. If we have to remember, there are minerals that run through the water. If the water is not flowing, then the minerals become like sand in those vessels of water. That means electrical currents can't run through it. So that disconnection is not a disconnection of the system, but there is a blockage in that connection that's causing a short circuit.
Like a bottleneck.
That is correct.
Okay.
Right.
Spark plug.
Okay.
Right. Which would make you think that you have a disconnect.
Okay.
It's not a disconnect. It's a block.
Okay.
It's a
A
block.
block.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's a block.
Can this stuff help people with schizophrenia?
Hey, okay, let's go there. Let's go there. So you want to go to schizophrenia? Let's go to schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is Schizophrenia has the same origin as ADD and ADHD, Parkinson's, dementia. Name any autism. Name any neurological issue. I don't care what the exhibited symptoms are. The origin is all the same. Where does all of that function reside? The brain, right? But the brain, in order to function, requires that electricity to be moving through what? The lymph water. But if the lymph water isn't moving, those synapses stop over here instead of connect in the middle. That affects neurological conditions. That gives you neuropathy and all other anything that requires the electrical synapses, which is what? Everything. Everything. If those electrical synapses have a malfunction that happens to be around the brain because there's a block in the middle, then you have all of those symptoms. Anxiety and depression, same origin of problem. When the water is stagnant, there's not enough oxygen to filter and carry the electrical current, right? To separate the molecules to actually carry the current. So you have to make sure that no matter what it is, the water has to be flowing through the head. But what controls that? All of these sinus cavities that are the head and the face. So when people say, Camille, you think that every problem is a sinus problem? Hell, yep, I do. Especially, we're going to go talk to some Christians. What's the one thing God said God did to give you life? Just one. He breathed into your nose. I mean, if you want to go that route, I mean, shit, it's right there. just like, what was the tempting fruit? Apples. Apples have the majority of minerals that we need in our body to heal the body, which is why we used to say an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Well, they
right?
Are trying to shun that saying now.
Hello?
You don't see that anywhere on the
No, they took that. Man, they took all of that out. But all of that knowledge comes from the head. It turns on our electricity, which functions the body. And all we need to do is put the air and the minerals in clean sun and nature.
I don't have sinus issues that show up as
sinuses.
The allergies.
The allergies, right.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's society's problem.
And I had those sinus issues that show up society's problem.
Society's problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's how we're programmed, right?
That sinuses are and
correct.
And allergies.
So I'm glad this came up too. Because when I ask clients, I ask every client, right? Because I read faces, that's what I do. I ask every client how long, or if they believe that they've ever suffered from allergy or sinus problems, right? Most people would say no. And then I would say, oh, you don't have an issue with headaches, you don't wear glasses, you don't have a headache issues, you don't have digestive issues, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I have that.
Sinus issues.
All of it is a sinus problem.
Absolutely, because no one ever. Because as soon as I feel like a sinusitis happening,
Yeah.
the first thing is horrible digestive issues.
Oh, very good.
Gas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's horrid. And it's like, okay, I feel a postnasal drip. I feel what's going on down here. This is a sinus issue that's starting. And so what's crazy is the sinus issue started first. And because we don't know how to read those signs, the body says, oh, well, shit, you ain't fixed the top. I'm going down below. So as it goes down below, the issue is getting worse, right? So you feel it first, oftentimes in the gut. But it didn't start up there. It didn't start there. It started up top. The vagus nerve, which people are like, oh yeah, Camille, I know about the vagus nerve, and it, feeds the gut. So the vagus nerve is this large nerve.
Vegas like Vegas?
Vagus, V-A-G-U-S.
Oh, V-A-G-U-S.
Yes. And that nerve affects the sympathetic, parasympathetic systems in the body, but of course it does. It is the long, super long nerve that starts under the sinus filters in the head, travels down the side of the neck into the clavicle, the whole lymph space, in between the sternum lymphs here, all the way to the gut, and feeds the gut its oxygen. Cells need to breathe through the lymph water.
That's these waist trainers are no good.
Oh, I love y'all. I swear to God, I do. I swear.
I mean, they don't feel good.
I swear. I swear. I
Am I gonna get
swear.
rid of my Spanx? Is that what you're saying?
No. So remember, the body doesn't like long-term imbalance.
Right.
Even with the body compressors, which I wear while I'm at work because they help my posture. Mm-hmm. However, you have to balance the non-movement of water by balancing that when you take it off, right? You certainly fucking can't wear it to sleep. That'll kill you. But once you take it off, you have to do counter exercises like this, side bends, using a percussor, getting on a vibration plate to reset that water.
And see, the waist trainers don't come with that instruction.
Of course, because they don't know. They're thinking that what they're doing is compressing fat.
Making you look
But what do you think you're compressing, right? What are you
Water.
Organs.
The water.
It's the water.
It's
Because
the
if you
water.
think about it, if fat was like tissue, like, you know, if you cut hair and you put it somewhere, you can't just squish it and it disappears.
Right.
And when people put a waist trainer on, they go from looking like this to maybe like this.
The water
and it's
goes
like,
somewhere.
It's the water.
Mm-hmm. It's
And
moving.
then squish it.
You're talking about sex and sexual energy. Remember, we just talked about knowledge is power, turning on our electricity. The electricity in our water is our literal life force. So when you are having sexual relations with someone else, you are literally transferring life forces. So if you have had you are transferring that damage to another person, and most importantly, women transfer it directly from mother to baby through the umbilicus. And if that doesn't happen, they're gonna suck it up in your breast milk. So yes, when you're talking about who you wanna like give it up to, you better think real hard, and that better be a question on your questionnaire. Have you had the thing? Because that's real
That's
talk.
right, because we are receptacles.
Hello? I'm sorry.
We
Can
are
you repeat that again?
We are receptacles as women. And what are you receiving?
I can.
You best check to see what you're going to be receiving.
Oh, wow. This is
Gotta
lovely.
know, gotta
I need
know.
everybody to hear everything. Like, yeah, this is exactly that. Like, exactly. Many of you lovely women can't figure out what's wrong with you because you're having sex with the wrong man. Like, that's
Yeah.
just what you said. What are you receiving? And that's not even during sex only. What are we receiving into the 6-foot energetic aura that all
Space.
of us walk around with? What are you allowing in your space? That shit is beyond real.
Oh, there's something I want to share with you.
Oh, I would love for you to share it. I would love for you to share it.
Okay, so March, May of 21, when everyone started, you know, this was happening
Correct.
at that point.
Correct.
I went to a conference. Remember I told you about the Zyto scan?
Correct.
Okay?
That's
So
right.
I took it with me.
Yes.
I'm at this conference. I'm scanning, and I am jab free. Okay?
Right.
But when I scanned the first day that I was in the conference,
Yes.
it showed up vaccinations on my scan.
Yep, that's what happens with the water scans.
I also started feeling brain fog.
Ooh.
I also started, my hormones also showed up
Out of control. Yep.
on the scan. And the more I went into the conference, the more
The worse it got.
The worse it got. Until the last day, I heard in my inner knower, that I call Holy Spirit.
I love it. Inner knower. Inner knower.
I
That's
heard, stay in this morning. And I had some responsibilities, and it was really hard for me to make that decision, but I had to be obedient because
It was
because a stranger's voice I do not follow.
Correct.
Good.
So at that point, I stayed in, but through a ripple effect of the power going out in the entire upper tower that I was in, we could not use the elevator, so I couldn't go back in. But that was all by design.
Yes,
I know
always
it's all by
is.
design.
Always is.
But I have to tell you that being exposed to the people who were jabbed with those spike proteins that were coming off of their bodies, I was being impacted. So if I could be
Just by being within.
if I could be impacted just by being in
Correct.
their company, what could happen if I laid down with
Hello.
someone like that?
Hello, did y'all
Okay.
hear that?
Yeah.
Did y'all
alright?
hear that? I hope you heard that.
So, and
That's for real.
it was more than just what I had experienced. I had a friend who was only a month pregnant and she
Oh,
miscarried.
she miscarried.
And I
See?
had another
See?
friend.
People.
See?
I had another
Yep.
same
Yep.
conference exposed to the same people.
Yep.
And a girl who had a 5-year-old daughter with her who was now spotting in her panties at 5 years of age.
What?
Yes.
That's what it does, because if you listen to what Dr. Malone said, who is one of the doctors who created the mRNA, and he said, don't give it to people. Don't give it to people, because the messenger, the envelope that carried the new ribonucleic cellular communication was being found, instead of being deleted from the body, it was being found in the reproductive spaces in women, which is what was going to cause the miscarriages and the spotting young like that.
Yeah.
He said it.
I see-
I was like, oh, no, that's all I need to know.
I keep seeing the commercial.